Good afternoon, students. This is Professor Estrada with your American Literature Week 2 online video. I hope that the beginning of the course that you have been able to not only navigate the course, been able to go inside the weekly folders as the course is designed and set up, but also be able to look at the video as just a preview of what is expected or can be seen at any time. I'm going to go ahead and start. This is week 2. I hope that week 1 has slowly gotten there to where you're expected to know the due dates and how they run. And at any point, if you have any questions, I'm here to help you. This is the home page of our course. I'm just going to start off just a bit of review. I have my updated announcements on this side, on the left side, because I'm actually recording this a couple of days ahead. You'll be able to see an updated Friday or Saturday announcement talking about the due dates for week 1, which have not yet passed, but also anything else that is of importance. Usually the due dates will be right here, or any important information, just to let you know. And then on the right side tab, I have my name, contact information, and my email. Okay, aestrada@hillcollege.edu. Now right here we have the work to do module and the calendar. As you will see with many assignments, that usually the syllabus date is always posted, but then sometimes it'll additionally say, but if the calendar, the to-do says something different, always refer to the syllabus. That is in fact because I add the extra 4 days that you're allowed to turn in something late in my class. Every day after the due date, I just deduct 25 points. So after the 4th latest day, it is a 0. But this is really awesome for some people to just jump in and dive into what is the content, but it doesn't give a preface of why you're doing it or what online folder or where it's found. This just shows you the upcoming things turning in. While they're great and everything, the one thing that I will say is that we go to the content page so that the content page can tell us where to go. This is my point of view, but yours will say something else. But we're going to click on content. Notice that we have the welcome to the class announcement module. We have the course syllabus. At any time, it is there for you to look at it. The late pass policy. And because we've already gone into week 1, part 1 folder, and week 1, part 2, you will now be able to see the week 2 folder, part 1, the week 2 folder, part 2. Pay no mind that this little emoji may be seen on your end. This just means that I go back in, and whenever it's time for me to open up and view the folder, you're able to do the same way. So pay no mind, I'm just recording this a little bit early. You won't be able to see that. So we have our week 2 folder. Notice that there are a few things in the folder. You scroll down to the folder so that way you can see it. But I'm going to go ahead and let's go dive in quickly. This says that the week 2 folder, so clicking on it so that it opens up, week 2 folder, part 1 has the following things. It has the video lecture that you're going to be watching right now, the actual lecture slides. It has a short video for you to watch on your own titled When and Where Does America Begin? We also have their readings for the week. Ye Are Called to Peace by George Fox. The poem Upon the Burning of Our House by Anne Bradstreet. I have it as a text but also as an audio. And you're going to be looking at a few journals. The Journal of John Woolman, the selected text, the actual PDF. But then I also have it as an audio if you want to go back in and just listen along to his journal as an audio. And The Manners and Customs of Indians by Thomas Morton, selected text. Selected text just means that I pulled maybe not the entire text, but maybe a paragraph or two, a couple of pages, but not the entire thing. You also have discussion board number 3, which is the Fantastic Four. Quiz number 2, which is week 2, day 1 works. So only the works over quiz 2, day 1. So only over these. And we have the word count link to help you count your words. And so this says that the week 2 content is due Sunday, June 21st at 11:59. And this is where I meant to say that when something or the calendar or the to-do list on the front page says extra days, that just means that you see it there, but the syllabus will say this. So if you turn in something from week 2 after that day, I just deduct points. But the last day to do so, to turn in anything, is Thursday, June 25th. Okay. We also have right here a couple of reminders. It says, also be sure to review all the works from week 1 and week 2, as they will be on your first unit exam, which is unit 1. Unit 1 exam will open in the week 3 folder, part 2. It will open Monday, June 22nd, and will close Sunday, June 28th. So you'll be given a full week. It says, be sure to know the authors discussed in the folders, who wrote what type of form is their work, poem, sermon, diary, letters, etc. There'll be matching authors, the work, word banks, true, false, short answer questions. And because it covers week 1 and week 2 through week 2, part 2, it's placed in the week 3, part 2 folder. Refer back to that if you have any questions. It won't be made available after this time, and I will not reopen it. Just make sure that you take time with it, okay? So now we dive into the week 2, day 1 lecture slides, okay? I'm zooming out so that way you're able to see these. These are our lecture slides for this certain day. We have the beautiful title slide, and then we have the objectives for today. Objectives for week 2, day 1, the reminder of the unit exam, the contents in the online folder, and our continuation of the colonial era. Okay, the same contents that I just explored and discussed within the folder are right here as well. This video is in fact just a helpful preview of what it is that you're doing before you even go in. So it's in fact as if, you know what, let me listen to the video, let me look at the contents, and then I'm ready. It also contains a lecture, of course. Okay, and then the important reminder of the Unit 1 exam, exact same thing that you just seen in the preview folder, the preview window, it has that as well. Okay, so let's do our continuation of the colonial era. The time frame is the early 1600s to 1750s or so. The reason why we call this the colonial period, which represents the time that British ruled the colonies in North America. The Puritan era is due to its influence of the Puritans and their specific religious practices. And this is one of our authors that we will be looking at throughout the weeks, John Winthrop. He wrote a famous sermon, and let's look at what he said. For we must consider that we shall be a city upon the hill. The eyes of all people are upon us, so that if we shall deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, and so cause him to withdraw his present help from us, we shall be made a story and byword through the world. And let's look at the continuation of the Puritan era. They wished to have their feelings changed by God's grace. They wanted to be cleansed of envy, vanity, and lust. They valued plainness, simplicity, especially in the church. They saw their bringing Christianity to America as a divine mission, and this was their commandments. Thou shalt not miss church and community meetings. Thou shalt work hard and support my fellow pilgrims. Thou shalt worship a strict and Christian God. Thou shalt put the Lord first in my life and obey his words. Thou shalt live by the 10 commandments as written in the Holy Bible. Thou shalt not dress in bright colors or dance in a wicked manner. Thou shalt not perform witchery nor conjure the devil. Thou shalt not have any opinions or beliefs not held by the entire community. Thou shalt build my home simply and not clutter it with decorations. Thou whom shalt disobey these commandments will be banished or be hanged. And these were their commandments for them. And these are their beliefs in theology. They believed in predestination, which is the idea that God knows where everyone will end up in eternity. The Puritans believed that those who were blessed with wealth and prosperous families' lives were a part of those elected to go to heaven. This concept can be seen in the text Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God by Jonathan Edwards. Their work ethic consisted of the Puritans believed that hard work was a way of winning God's favor, wealth, and accumulated through hard, honest work as seen in the sign of godliness, and was encouraged by all Puritans. This Protestant work ethic was a major foundation in the American way of life. And here are some Puritan terms and influences. Genres that the Puritans favored. They favored sermons, religious poetry, historical narratives. They did not feel that literature was written for entertainment. Novels and plays were frowned upon due to the perceived lack of practical religious value. Religion and literature during this period. Religious values were put above all else in every area of these people's lives. This led to a focus on practical literature, sermons, historical narratives, poetry with a spiritual message. This also led to a certain style of writing that mirrored the Puritan style of living. Themes were religious in nature and reflected Puritan values. Okay, that is our lecture for week 2, part 1. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the next couple of things. We have a video. You have to click on the video. It is embedded in the page, but if you would like to, and it has the additional page for you to go in, it opens up the next web page, and I would like you to listen to that. It's a couple minutes long. I can go ahead and fix it. Okay. And then here is the Ye Are Called to Peace PDF. It is a sermon by George Fox. Notice that I'm just scrolling to see how long it is. We have the poem Upon the Burning of Our House by Anne Bradstreet. Okay. We also have the audio, if you would like to listen to the audio. We have the Journal of John Woolman. A couple of entries and excerpts. I have his video audio, and you're just listening to chapter 1 because this is only chapter 1. We have Manners and Customs by Thomas Martin. We have his excerpt. We also have discussion board number 3 and quiz 2. Now, before I dive into those and show you a little bit about those, we just have the word count link right here. Again, it is just a resource to count your words for your discussion board for your original post and or for others. It is just there just to kind of help you save and count words. A lot of people are having trouble with this because they're putting in their post right here. I suggest that if you're going to have it just count words, have it already saved somewhere else so that way it's not hurting you having to type it all over again. Okay, so we have discussion board number 3 called the Fantastic Four. Okay, so it says using the following links and readings. So after you read all of these, it's going to have you look at different questions and answer those as well. It says answer the following questions in the box below. All of those will be one whole post. It says there is no specific word count for your own post. Yay! Just be sure to adhere to the specifics within the questions. So if question 1's asking for a specific certain amount of sentences, then do so as that. Question 1, write at least a 2 to 3 sentence summary of a work that was very informative to you. Okay. Question 2, what do you take from Ye Are Called to Peace? Is it inspiring? Do you think of it as a declaration or sermon for that time? What sentence or phrase in this work is most impactful? So each specific question may be pertinent to a specific text or work. Okay? Imagine yourself walking around and looking at your house that has been hypothetically burned down. If you could save 3 things such as trinkets or other valuables, what would they be and why? After reading a few pages of John Woolman's works, what are at least 2 differences from this work and John Smith's The History of Virginia? From the readings in this section, week 2, day 1, what is the most powerful or interesting line or sentence that you read? And I want you to write it there and discuss why it stood out to you. And as you watch the When and Where Does America Begin video, write down 2 to 4 interesting facts or details that you take away. Okay? Then after you answer all of these, so remember all of this will be one post. Question 1, responses all the way to question 6 responses, just one post. You can bullet, number, alphabetical, however you would like to list this, that's fine as long as it's one post. And then it's just asking after your submission, respond to at least one other student. Respond just to one other student and at least have their word count 175 to 200 words. I have feedback complimentary sentences right here if you need to know how to reply to them. And then there's that due date. So I'm going to go ahead and start a little thread. I'm just going to type in words, and if you're watching this in the video, it makes sense, and if you're seeing this on the screen, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get when she said that. To post, you can do it in any color, any font, any size, as long as it's legible by me. And we're going to go ahead and post. Okay, new slide. All right. Okay, I also have quiz 2 right here. Let's look at its instructions so that way you see it. It just says quiz 2 over the works of week 2, day 1. Read each statement and answer to the best of your ability. You'll be given 2 attempts with a timeline of at least an hour per each attempt. Okay. All right. I'm exiting out of that, and now we've already covered the word count link. Let's dive into week 2, part 2. All right. So we have week 2, part 2. In this folder, we'll have the lecture slides as well. You're going to be reading The Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper, the selected text of just chapter 1 through 5. For this link, all you have to do is scroll and read all the way to the end of chapter 5, which is Roman numeral 5. The audio of The Last of the Mohicans, it says from this link, all you have to do is start to the end of chapter 5, which is going into the hour marker of 2 hours and 13 minutes. You're going to be reading Wonders of the Invisible World, so you don't ever have to go back and listen to the audio unless the audio is helpful for you. Some people choose to read out loud, some people choose to read in silence, some people follow along with the audio if it's helpful, so it just kind of resonates to whatever your preference is. We have Wonders of the Invisible World, as I said, by Cotton Mathers. We have Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God by Jonathan Edwards as a text, but also as an audio. We have History of the Dividing Line. We have the word count link as well. We have discussion board number 4, New World Problems, Old World Mentalities. That's what the title is. We have your first extra credit opportunity, number 1. This says this opportunity will allow you up to 7 points off your lowest minor grade. Minor grade considered are quizzes, discussion boards, and submitted writing assignments. And then it has its due date. Week 2, day 1 and day 2. So everything in the week 2 folder, whichever section is due Sunday, June 21st. Okay. And then it just tells you the same thing that the week 2, day 1 folder said about the unit exam and what to expect in there. Okay. So let's dive in and notice that they're all right here. I have to scroll and everything's already laid out for you. Okay. So let's dive into the week 2, day 2 lecture slides. So that way you have them. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that way you can see them. We have the objectives for week 2, day 2. We have the online folder content, a recap of week 2, day 1, important notes and reminders, and the unit 1 exam reminder. Okay. This is a recap of if you were looking at these videos back to back, or if you looked at week 2 video day 1 on Monday and then you're looking at this one on Wednesday. Just tells you the recap of week 2 day 1 folder. And then we have the week 2 day 2 folder. Please excuse the noise in the background. It's my niece running around like a hooligan. Okay. Then we have the unit 1 exam early reminder. It just tells you when it's open and when it will close. Okay. So notice that these lecture slides don't have much on them, whereas the day 2, day 1 lecture slides had a bit of notes. Okay, so we have The Last of the Mohicans as a reading. It'll open up. We also have the audio right here. We have in Wonders of the Invisible World, so it is a link that you have to open. We have Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. Okay, the sermon itself. We have Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, the audio, if you would like to listen to the audio. We have the diary excerpts, The History of the Dividing Line by William Byrd. We have the word count link. Word count link is especially helpful for those of you that need a tool to count your words for your own post in the discussion board or to reply to others. We have discussion board number 4, which is Old World Mentalities. So a great way to think of this is to make sure that you are reading all of the authors and their works before you dive into a discussion board, because oftentimes it's going to ask you, did you pay attention to what this certain author said? So it says, read the directions as required and reply to others. Read the questions below. You are more than welcome to list them by each question, bullet list, or answer in a complete paragraph. For your original post, there's no specific word count. Just make sure that you adhere to any other specifics. So here are questions for discussion board number 4 in regards to those contents. After reading the works for this folder, week 2, day 2 only, summarize one of those works in a 3-sentence summary. Remember, our students are reading these, however, the summary is your interpretation of the works. In short, what did you take from that work? Question number 2. After reading The Last of the Mohicans through chapter 5, answer in at least 3 sentences. Why do you think this text is significant for this era? Do you think it accurately depicts early American literature? Question 3. Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God is a profound, moving sermon that is heavily regarded among biblical scholars today. Why do you think people still quote it? Do you think Edwards was received well for writing this, or was he shunned? Question 4. Think about the time of the colonial era. Their ways and lifestyles were driven by religion and plainness. If you were living during this time, do you think you'd be able to abide by their rules? What do you think would happen if you lived during this lifetime? And answer in a couple sentences. Question 5. Think of the authors and the general message of their work. If they were alive today, what do you think they would find most surprising when it comes to religion and lifestyle? Question 6. Of the text provided in week 2, day 2 only, which one came across as the least interesting and why? Of the text provided and their audio, which one was the most powerful or came across with the most strongest text? In other words, which one stuck out to you and how come? Of the text provided, give the strongest phrase or line from it. Why do you think it was powerful? So there's my example right here. It says, example taken from the Sinners of an Hands of an Angry God. I put, 'tis nothing but his hand that holds you from falling in the fire every moment. And this is what I wrote. As I read this text and this particular line, I felt that use it and they apply it to their everyday lives and felt conviction and humility. For believers, they can say that it is his hand that grace is given, and without it, we would be in trouble. I apply it to today's society and how believers lean on him to keep from going wayward, but also to those during the colonial era who believed in the wrath and dependency of everyday life. Okay, and it just says step 2, to respond to just one other person. Maybe pick someone that you haven't responded to, or someone that could use that motivation. And here are complement sentences if you would like to use them as well. It follows a week 2 due date, so it's Sunday, June 21st. I can start a new thread. You can put DB, whatever number it is. You can write out the entire thing if you want to. And in the post itself, you can do any color, any list, any font, any size, as long as it's legible. Go ahead and post. You can even put DB4 if you want to right here. Okay. I'm going to close out of this, and then I'm going to show us the extra credit, number 1. Okay, I'm going to show you from the instructor side of how it looks like. All right, so it says to create a new document for extra credit number 1, it says to answer the prompt below. If you have trouble uploading this document, you can let me know. If there is a possible text box in the module, you're more than welcome to write in the module itself or in a Word doc. At this point, if you have trouble uploading a Word doc, please let me know, because in later weeks to come, you will have to submit things via Word doc. Okay? And here is the prompt. For an ability to earn extra credit, just answer the prompt right here. In at least 7 to 10 sentences, answer the following question. Since this is extra credit, please make sure to adhere to essay guidelines or proper knitted paragraphs, complete sentences free of spelling and syntax errors. Here's the prompt. What are some positive factors that you've learned while being in a college class? What are some negative setbacks that you've experienced or recognized during time deadlines? As a reflection piece, discuss what you could have done to prepare yourself or what you're wanting to improve in. Okay, Sunday, June 21st at 11:59 is a deadline. Unfortunately, you cannot submit extra credit late or use a late pass. Okay, go ahead and exit out of here. And that is the conclusion of week 2, day 1 and day 2 folder. Okay. And just as I pointed out earlier, you won't be able to see these emojis because I'll have them opened up so that you don't have to worry about that. But at any point during week 2, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, aestrada@hillcollege.edu.